In the quaint town of Eldridge, nestled between fog-laden hills and whispering woods, there stood an ancient library, a repository of forgotten lore and forbidden knowledge. Among its dusty shelves and age-old manuscripts, there resided a peculiar tome, known to the few who dared whisper of it as the cursed text. The book, bound in tattered leather and clasped with iron, bore no title on its cover, only an unsettling symbol that seemed to shift and writhe under the gaze of the beholder. It was said that the book held within its pages texts that could predict horrifying events, a power that lured the curious and the desperate alike. Jonathan, a young scholar fascinated by the occult and unexplained mysteries, stumbled upon the legend of the cursed text. His thirst for knowledge and his reckless courage led him to the depths of the Eldridge Library one stormy night, where he found the book waiting for him, as if it had been expecting his arrival. With trembling hands, Jonathan opened the book. The pages were filled with cryptic texts, written in a language that seemed ancient yet eerily familiar. As he deciphered the first passage, a sense of unease grew within him. The text described, in vivid detail, a series of gruesome events that would occur in Eldridge, unexplainable disappearances, strange sightings in the woods, and shadows lurking in the corners of one's vision. Dismissing it as mere coincidence, Jonathan continued to read, unable to tear himself away from the mesmerizing script. Each passage he read brought to life a new horror, each more terrifying than the last. The town of Eldridge began to experience these events, just as the book had predicted. People whispered of a curse, and fingers pointed to Jonathan, the one who had unearthed the accursed tome. As the town descended into chaos and fear, Jonathan sought to return the book to its resting place, hoping to end the nightmare he had unleashed. But the book had other plans. It seemed to have bonded with him, its texts changing, now predicting horrifying events that were personal to Jonathan, his friends, and his family. One night, as the moon cast a ghostly glow over Eldridge, Jonathan read a passage that froze his blood. The text spoke of a shadowy figure that would come for him at the stroke of midnight, a being born from the very essence of the book's malevolent power. Jonathan realized that the book didn't just predict events, it created them. As the clock tower chimed 12, a shadow detached itself from the darkness of his room. It was the figure from the book, its eyes glowing with an unholy light. Jonathan, gripped by terror, understood that he was facing the physical manifestation of the book's curse. In a desperate attempt to save himself and the town, Jonathan set fire to the cursed text. The flames consumed the book, and the shadowy figure let out a piercing scream as it too was devoured by the fire. As the last page turned to ash, the horrors that had plagued Eldridge ceased, leaving the town in an eerie, but peaceful, silence. Jonathan emerged from the ordeal a changed man, haunted by the knowledge of what he had unleashed and the price he had paid to end it. The cursed text was gone, but its legacy lived on in the whispered tales of the townsfolk and in the nightmares that lingered in the dark corners of Jonathan's mind. And so, the legend of the cursed text endured, a cautionary tale of curiosity's peril and the thin veil that separates the known from the unknowable. For in the quiet town of Eldridge, the shadows still whispered of a book with texts that predicted horrifying events, waiting for the next unwary soul to open its pages. As months turned to years, the town of Eldridge slowly recovered from the scars left by the cursed text. Jonathan, however, found no such solace. Haunted by his memories and the fear that the book's malevolence might one day return, he dedicated his life to studying ancient texts and occult lore, seeking a way to ensure that such a horror would never arise again. Unknown to Jonathan, deep within the ruins of an old monastery on the outskirts of Eldridge, a fragment of the cursed text had survived the fire. This fragment, charred and almost indecipherable, was discovered by a group of unwitting explorers drawn to the monastery's mysterious past. The moment they touched the fragment, a new cycle of horror was set in motion. Inexplicably drawn to the fragment, the explorers took it back to Eldridge. As the fragment entered the town, strange phenomena began to occur. Shadows moved with minds of their own, and whispers filled the night air, speaking in tongues unknown to any living soul. The fragment, though incomplete, retained the power to invoke fear and despair. Jonathan, sensing the resurgence of the book's dark influence, embarked on a quest to find and destroy the remaining fragment. His journey led him through forgotten catacombs, haunted forests, and unspeakable realms of nightmare. Along the way, he uncovered secrets about the cursed text that chilled him to his core. The book was not merely a collection of dark prophecies but a conduit for an ancient entity, a being that fed on fear and chaos. As Jonathan delved deeper into the mystery, he realized that the entity was seeking to reconstitute itself, to emerge fully into the world through the fragment. The horrifying events it predicted were not just random acts of terror, but part of a sinister plan to weaken the veil between realms. Armed with this knowledge and his unwavering resolve, Jonathan confronted the entity in a climactic battle within the heart of Eldridge. The town itself became a battleground, with reality warping and twisting under the entity's influence. Jonathan, calling upon every ounce of his learned arcane knowledge, fought to banish the entity and destroy the fragment. In the end, as dawn broke, Jonathan stood victorious, though at a great cost. The fragment was shattered, its pieces scattered to the winds, and the entity banished to the depths of the unknown. Eldridge, saved once more, slowly returned to normal, its people unaware of how close they had come to the brink of oblivion. Jonathan, weary and burdened with his secrets, left Eldridge, his quest finally complete. He wandered the world, a guardian against the dark forces that lurk in the shadows of human knowledge. His name became a legend, spoken in hushed tones by those who know of the thin line that separates our world from the horrors beyond. And so, the tale of the cursed text ended, but its legacy remained, a warning of the dangers that lie in the pursuit of forbidden knowledge and the unseen forces that dwell just beyond the veil of our understanding. In the annals of Eldridge's history, Jonathan's saga was etched forever, a reminder of the price of curiosity and the eternal vigilance required to guard against the darkness that lurks in the heart of the unknown.